I'm barely making it down there. Oh, we're live. Hold on. No one watch. We're not ready. All right. What's up, interwebs? What's up, Restoration Nation, Restoration Rebels? This is the Restoration Rebel Roundtable for the 3rd of April, 2024. Andy McCabe here. Joe Spears over there. Brand new background. Love it. I missed it. Welcome back to the land of the living. Who needs a job? Who needs it? Good to see you, man. How's your week been? How was your week since last week?
It's been good, man. It's been good. As many people know, I parted ways with RIB, and I took a roughly a week off, and you know, I never take a vacation. It's so hard for us remote estimators to take a vacation because
It's so hard.
we're always in front of our computers. So
It's
I took a couple
impossible.
days off to recharge, refocus myself, and just relax, and
Nice.
and center myself, and I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm ready to hit the things running and get back up and going, and help some people, really, understand their policies and procedures like we're always harping about.
That's right. That's right. Back at it. You're gonna be great. You're gonna get back. You're gonna have more business than you care to deal with here soon enough. But let's get this out of the way, shall we? Here's the Rebel Agreements. These are important, folks. These I know I have a tendency to run through them quickly every week, but this is foundational stuff to the entire Rebel movement, to the entire Restoration 2.0, as Mr. Kevin Dooley was so kind to remind us this week with a post. If the entire industry agreed to and follow just these 4 simple things, we would be operating in a very, very different environment. So here goes. Agreement number 1, I will protect the value of my services. Offering free services only serves to erode the value of similar services industry-wide. Agreement number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. That shouldn't be so hard, but it's one of the hardest things for us to do as an industry. I don't know why. I will explain the claim process to my client. I will not hide pricing details or falsify reports. That means I will not make up hygrometric readings that I didn't take while I was on the job. I will never communicate with an adjuster without also communicating with my client. Agreement number 3, I do not believe in competition. The restoration companies in my market are part of my community. I will be an active member of my community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change that we strive for. And guess what? Writing comp estimates, comp bids against other restorers in your market, that is not what you're supposed to be doing. Comp bids are written by scabs. Scabs need to be picked. All right, that was a bad analogy. Agreement number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that's not compatible with my values and stated mission. No relationship is worth losing money, sleep, or my humanity. I don't even know. Oh, there's a stop sharing button. There it is. It's gone. Yeah, man. Comp bids came up today. I did an hour and a half with Encircle. We did a live event that was broadcast out. I think it was broadcast on LinkedIn. Pretty sure it was on the Facebook page. I'm not sure where it was actually, but comp bids, the issue of comp bids came up, and I had to remind myself where I was and the context, and I had to keep it PG. But man, very, very, very few things pissed me off more than, hey, brother, my brother's in here. Hey, look at that. I have a brother. His name is Matt. What's up, brother? Very few things piss me off more than restorers cutting each other's throats, being willing to go into a job that they absolutely know they have no chance of winning, and just putting a number on it just to make an adjuster happy. You're not doing anyone any favors, including yourself. You're actually degrading the value of your own services when you do that. just we should just have a movement. No comp bids. No comp bids. If the carrier wants a comp bid, they can hire their pet IA or their Wardlaw folks or their JS held folks. Have those scabs come in and write a comp bid. We don't need restorers cutting other restorers' throats. Am I? Am I? Am I? What do you think, Joe? What do you think about comp bids? What's your opinion there? Good to see you, brother Matt.
I mean, I'm not a fan of it. By no means. Occasionally, there has been times where I see the reason behind it and why, but for the most part, it does more harm than it does good.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I mean, the last time I think I did a comp bid, it was for a contractor who they felt the file was just drastically written wrong, and
Okay.
like this contractor, all they did was they went down and they pulled the wet carbon pad out, but they charged for extraction, and their argument was, well, we took the water with us, so that's extracting the water from the home, and then the homeowner,
What?
yeah,
Wait. They took. Repeat that. I missed it. I was typing something.
they physically just cut, bagged, and hauled out the wet, drippy carpet out of the home. And since the water was in the carpet and pad and it left the property with them, they extracted the carpet from the home or the water from the home.
Oh, that's just lying.
Oh wait, it gets better. Then the homeowner, they had just recently done their basement, and someone had told them back then that they that if you want the drywall to dry quicker and all, it's good to get a dehumidifier. So they went out and had bought like a Phoenix R200 used or something, and they were like, "Hey, you guys, if you guys don't want to drag your machine down, you can use ours. We have it down here." This company charged for their dehu to the insurance company, and their argument was, "Well, if we hadn't used theirs, we would have had to bring ours down, and we would have charged for it. So therefore,
Oh,
we
I
are
remember
charging
this
for it."
one. You talked to me about this one. Yeah. The restoration company, I mean, I hesitate to call them a restoration company, right? This was a hack. This was a pure hack. They they didn't have the right equipment, so the homeowner provided the equipment, and then
Well,
the
according to
company
them,
charged for it.
they had the DU, but since they didn't have to drag it down the staircase and they just used the homeowners, they still felt, well, had the homeowner did not have it, we would have drug ours down, so we're going to charge for it.
You know, yeah, I think those types of people need to be prosecuted for fraud. I really do.
Yeah. So
That's that's just fraud.
and so in that regards, there, I mean, I wrote a comp bid because I was at a TPA office at the time, but I think
Okay,
everybody that knows me knows well enough that I didn't. I'm not going to bullshit and write a crappy estimate. You hire me to write an estimate, I'm gonna write the best I can, regardless of anything. And I mean, I try to be as fair and as fair as I could to them, and try to justify everything I could justify. But they were
sure.
still like $4,000 higher than what I could have even gotten it because of all these things you can't substantiate. So I mean, but
Right, but
ex-
you were I mean,
but
on for
excluding
mitigation, but
but excluding
mitigation
that.
is not it's not an estimating exercise. It's just it's the your invoice should reflect the work that you actually did. That's it.
Mhm. Now, the only time you should ever be giving a comp bid is if you are actually bidding the job, trying to win the contract. And that's completely fine to me. But what happens more often than not is these, you know, Code Blue says go out there. Well, they've already got a contract. Okay, well, you still got to write an estimate. And these TPA outfits, they're like, well, we're not going to get the job. They're only going to pay us like $150. So we'll just throw together some kind of a bullshit file to say we did it
Mm,
and hit our palm scores. But the problem is when you do that, that's what the insurance company is using to compare against that homeowner's actual
right.
contractor. So
You're driving down the average artificially because it's not real.
I just got done doing a fire where I had wrote it for a full demo, structure clean, and HEPA vacuuming and spray seal.
Okay.
Um, I had everything as HMRT being done. This
Mhm.
was with travelers. This happened last
Okay.
week.
Okay.
Travelers adjuster even said, Joe, like, this is an awesome estimate. It's clean, it's well thought out. I even agree with your mentality here on the scope of work and why you changed it to HMR. And I was like, you're travelers. That's awesome that you said that. But The problem
But
was, but the problem was is I was at like 170, and he was at like, and on we had overhead and profit on there, and he wanted to take overhead and profit off, which I'll give you that there. Dropped it down to 130. He was at 80 though, and it was
mm,
because of the labor trade changes. And so he was going to meet us in the middle at 100,000, but because that's all the homeowner had left on their policy was $100,000. And he's like telling my contractor, "Well, we got to get this number closer to 100,000 because otherwise, this homeowner is going to have to pay out of pocket for a bunch of stuff." And I was like, "Time the fuck out! Like, this all has to be done. You're wanting
right.
my guy to come in under budget of what he needs to do this job for, solely so everybody else down the ladder doesn't have to go ask the homeowner for money, because you're saying you've already given them all their money, and now we're the ones getting
Mm,
screwed over."
mm.
Um, and but what sucks even more is then the homeowner got nervous and they went and found a contractor that would do it for 50K.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's always someone that'll do it for less, right? They're not gonna do the right job, but they'll do it for less,
How
right?
do you
And that's
justify HMR without a hygienist report?
yeah, I wanna answer this question before you answer the question, Joe.
Okay.
We're not in a position to justify shit, right? Your bill is your bill, or your bid is your bid. You should not put anything out there that you feel like you are trying to have to justify. The data should justify your bill. Period. End of story. And if your protocol in your business says you are doing things with PPE on, and you're in your proper training, and you're doing things in the way that an HMR technician would do them, then you can charge HMR rates. All right. That's what I have to say on that. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, first and foremost, it is scientifically been proven. There's paperwork's out there. There's documents, you can look it up, that connect, the carcinogenic values of soot and smoke damage, causing cancer.
Mhm.
You have to pay, whenever you're putting somebody in a Tyvek suit with a full face respirator, they're not working as efficiently, and
Mhm.
it's hard on their bodies. So usually a decent company is going to have a higher pay. We're going to pay them more while they're in suit time. Is a lot of what
Yep.
a lot of people call it. Well,
Yep.
HMR coding is just a higher hourly rate for your people. And like the guy that I was writing my fire for, he pays his water techs all $30 an hour,
Right.
which in all he had. I
Xactimate
mean,
doesn't cover that.
an Xactimate on CLNR, even at CLNR, is only like 25, $26 an hour for the labor rate. So
Mhm.
he has to bump it up.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, when I write my fires and everything, is this here is just like lead, just like asbestos. I don't have to prove it. If I operate under the
The
assumption that it
assumption.
is,
Yep.
and I follow the protocols required for that assumption, it's not my
Yep.
job to prove it is. It's the other person's job to prove it is not. If I go
Yep.
into a house that's pre-81, I don't have to test for lead or asbestos. I can run the entire job as an abatement, and the
Under
only way,
containment. Yep.
under containment, negative air, the whole shabam,
Yep.
without any testing because of the age of the house, and I'm operating under the proper guideline assumptions. And it's actually the carrier's job to test it and then prove, oh no, well, before you start, we're going to test this to prove that it's not asbestos.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no problem waiting, but either you test it or I'm going to go ahead and start.
Yep.
And if you want to get a hygienist out here and say it's not carcinogenic and it's not toxic, and they want to write up a
Yeah.
protocol for what they need to have us do, please do. Because I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, that hygienist is either going to come out with the same scope of work I had, or they're going to
Mhm.
expand it.
Right. Right. Yeah. You want to get a hygienist involved? All right. I'm going to follow their protocol to the letter, and it's going to be more than what I just came up with. In and here's the deal. In our experience, with our expertise, in the amount of jobs we've seen, we know after a major fire there are carcinogens in that environment.
There's
I don't.
microbial growth due to it being
There's my
saturated with fire hose water.
If it's been wet for a couple days, you walk in, there's gonna be mold in the air. There's gonna be carcinogens in the air. We know this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a hygienist to establish that. We know the hazards exist. We're gonna operate as if they do exist, And if you want to prove your point, Mr. Adjuster, then you go through the trouble of getting a hygienist. We will put equipment on and stabilize the job until you're done with your investigation. Period.
Yeah, that's
I think he's talking to you, Joe. You're the beast. All right. Yes.
but it is. And that's the thing is a lot
Oh,
of
okay. He's
people.
talking to me too.
Well, here's the thing: is a lot of people don't seem to also remember is like, for example, if you're not using a WTR line item and you're
Okay.
just using if everybody that knows me, when I write a full fire gut, I'm going to use demo, whole room, bathroom, bedroom, kitchen. I like
Yep.
that full room gut. I just like
I
it.
love that line item.
It
It's
just
all
makes it so much
inclusive.
easier.
It's simple. It's easy. Yep.
But even if you're not using that, if you're using FNC base remove and DRY half inch remove and
Yeah.
carpet remove, if you're using all those line items, remember the default setting of that is DMO, demo trade, which
Yep.
for most people is like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
It's not going to cover the cost of your water techs
Yep.
going into demo it. Now,
Yep. If you're
if
going to
you
use that, you have to change the trade. You have to change the
now if
labor.
you are though, if you are hiring a Bob and Tom and Pablo's demo crew to come out there and demo it out for you, then yeah, maybe the demo line item is the proper line item to account for it. But most of the time, if you're trying to keep it in house, you have to, regardless if you're doing HMR, CLNR, you're going to have to increase the price, or else you're going to lose your shirt. And I don't know a single adjuster that I've actually talked to when I said, "Look, I have to put my guys make this much money. Your line item does not cover that cost. I have to charge more because that's how business works, and that's how the
Hmm.
number game works." Are going to be like, well, I'm only willing. They don't look at it as I'm only willing to pay this much. They look at it as, well, I can only charge this line item. That's fine.
Mm.
We agree on the scope of work.
Hmm.
That's what the preliminary estimate is. But the final invoice has to reflect the actual cost for services rendered. And I can
Yep.
happily give you a default DMO estimate up front for 100 grand. But when I get done with it and I upgrade it to my actual cost and my actual material fees, it's going to be 140. Do
Yep.
None of that matters right now. Do you agree on the scope that's outlined?
Do you agree? Exactly. Exactly. I'm not sure who this is. This is from the Xactimate group. Is this where that's coming from? I feel like
Possibly.
you can maximize more doing it line by line.
This is what I will say.
Sometimes.
This is what I will
Sometimes.
say. On an average basis, yes. If you go line by line by line, you will end up with about a 10 to 20% increase over the whole room demo. However, the reason that is because the way the weights and the balances and the direct yields and everything functioning with an Xactimate, if I say I'm going to remove baseboard, that line item is taken into the assumption that I'm trying to remove the baseboard without damaging the wall. I'm trying to remove the
Exactly.
drywall
That's a great
without
point.
damaging the ceiling.
Right. Right. And
And
if you're just tossing it all anyway, you don't need to pick it apart piece by piece. I agree with you. The demo line item is more representative of the actual work that you're actually going to do.
and that demo line item, even though it says demo, it even says on there, it says demo walls, floors, ceilings, electrical, plumbing, windows. But then down in the note section, it says this price is also valid even if you're not removing the electrical and the plumbing.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, but yeah, yeah, if you want, the difference between the line items and the whole room argument is the same difference of an argument between Andy, should we charge a power distribution box for 1 week or 7 days?
Right.
It's about a
Right.
$300 difference. What, give an inch, get a mile. Why not just do the whole room and everything and have a clean? I wrote an entire house estimate. And this was let me think here. Hang on, let me think here. It was one, two, three, four, five, six, a 10-room house. And
Okay.
I had like 75 line items total for this
Total.
$130,000 estimate. Like,
Yep.
super easy to read. If I had done
Yeah.
line by
And
line by line, ooh,
And
it'd
there's a point of diminishing returns. It takes you, I mean, if you're line by line, like baseboard, drywall, insulation, flooring, pad, doors, if you're there's a point of diminishing returns where your time starts to affect the overall profitability of the job, right? Your time is the estimator. uh, it plays, right? People discount the estimator's time all the time, like constantly, But my time, if you're subbing, if we're working for you at QuickCheck, our time's $165 an hour. And if I can get through that $150,000 demo scope in 30 minutes because I'm using that line item, and as opposed to making another $500, if it takes me 4 hours, there's trade-offs there that I think people don't really take into account.
But it's also, I mean, like, it's also the whole room demo line item is to demo a room down to the studs, plain and simple. Don't matter
Yep.
what you're doing, demo it down to the studs. If you're going line by line, it is so easy to miss things. I detached, remove the door. I didn't charge to detach and remove the door stop or the doorknob. Maybe I'm
The
detaching the doorknob
doorknob.
and saving it, and
Mhm.
then when you do the repair estimate, they're like, well, you didn't, if you're doing a whole room, they're expecting it's a blank canvas, everything has to go back in. Whereas if you're doing line by line, well, you didn't have on the removal that there was any door stops, so I'm not going to pay for
Mhm.
door stops to go back in. I have adjusters that'll nitpick the shit out of
Yeah.
you like that.
And I think that's where this guy's coming from. And yeah, I can't disagree with that point of view. And at the end of the day, we all have different styles. You have your way, I have my way, they have their way. There's 100 different ways to skin that cat, for sure. Hey, did you see the updated user agreement from Verisk?
I didn't know if you were going to say anything about that or not, Dave.
Well, I just saw it come up, and I was in the other room, scrolling, and I saw somebody posted it. Uh, did you look at that yet? I haven't looked deep. What do you think?
Yeah, it says that. I mean, effectively, it just says this pricing data is for historical averages for what contractors need to get the work done. But they took
Mm,
out the little subsection stating that, hey,
the starting point.
yeah, it's a
Huh.
starting point.
Interesting. Why would they go through the trouble of doing that?
Because of me and you and people like us who have been educating and educating, and they're probably getting the effectively they're getting lobbyists from the insurance company saying, "Stop telling people that in writing, so we have a way to fight them."
That's probably true. That's probably true.
And
Hey,
here's
I'm
the
gonna
thing. This is what I
go
will
ahead.
say. Here's the thing though is guys like, even me leaving RIB and stuff. Like this is what I'll tell you for the last 6 months, even not as I mean, we were writing 100 mitigation files a week,
Hmm.
every week. Not a single one of our contractors were using the default price list. On average, it was a factored
Really?
price. It would be a factored or canned price list, and on average, the price increase was on material and labor only, not on equipment rental.
Okay.
You know, but on average, they were anywhere between 18 and 22% above default
Mm,
value in Xactimate.
okay.
And so, our average mitigation files, that I was teaching everybody to write were between $11 and $14,000 in mitigation.
Okay.
And the write-off amounts, we were at like 9.63 when I left for how much we were
Okay.
writing off after the
Okay.
adjusters review it.
Hmm.
So, this whole mythology, guys, that like you can't increase your prices, it's drinking this Kool-Aid and just it's that, well, I was told this by Bob at the water machine that we're not allowed to do this, and he was told by, Jimmy, who was here 5 years ago and everything. And there is no basis for that. You guys are,
No.
I mean, if it costs you $10 to do a job and Xactimate comes up and it says it was $9, it doesn't mean you do it for $9. It means you need to say, no, it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Mm-hmm.
long as you can prove it, that's what matters. What gets people caught up is when they're not using their information given to them and they're just guessing. Like a great example of that is this hardwood floor was glued down and it didn't come up and it was so hard to take up and oh my god, can we charge some extra hours on it? Well, based on the square footage, Xactimate says it's like 60 square feet an hour or some it was whatever. You got on
Xactimate gave you 25 hours.
you gave you
What did
25
you
hours
actually spend?
you had out there two guys for a day. That's 16 hours. You've got an extra, 9 hours in there or whatever. Like, how many more hours do
Yep.
you think you need to charge for this?
Yep.
And people are like, oh,
Yeah.
what?
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. People don't really understand their own numbers, and they don't understand the yields. coming out of the Xactimate program. I wish we didn't have to talk about Xactimate all the time, but it's the plain and simple fact
I
is
mean, we could
so
talk
many.
about stability if you wanted to, but I think you might have a hemorrhage.
Uh, am I okay? Let's talk about stability. I've got a question for you, Joe. Am I gonna have to start? Are we over at QuickCheck? Are we gonna have to start offering stability estimating services? Is that a thing, or is stability gonna stay with certain carriers?
This is what I'm gonna. This is the way I look at it. Having Xactimate is like having a menu up on your menu board, and all of a sudden someone says, "Oh, well, online you have a different price." No, the price is the price.
Mm,
Now, and effectively someone trying to say, "Well, we only pay off of stability." Well, okay, well we don't you guys don't accept Xactimate. We don't accept its stability. This is our
mhm,
fee.
mhm.
If you don't feel like paying our fee based on what our chosen program that we are perfectly allowed to choose, that's between you and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the homeowner. That's not between me
Right,
and you. That's between
right.
them. But on my bills between myself and Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I'm just trying to help them get it paid. And I mean, I don't I don't think anybody should ever not know Symbility, because the more you know about it, the better you can fight it.
Mm,
But I don't think anybody, unless you're a TPA required outfit, should ever go out of their way to say, "Oh, we're doing an area job. We're going to write this one in Symbility this time."
I
And
agree.
like, no, like pick one. You do Xactimate for residential and light small commercial, and you
Mhm.
use time and material for large scale large
For anything
loss,
bigger.
and that's
Yep,
it. And if they want to, because I can tell you right now, I can write a roof estimate in Symbility and outprice default Xactimate. I've done it like
yep.
7 or 8 times, but it takes a lot of work because
A lot of
intuitively
work.
people don't realize parts of a line item that are missing, that
Mm,
are not that are included. Like the line, I was talking to somebody the other day about it. One of the line items was like hang drywall, mud and tape, 1/2 inch drywall. But within
mm.
the note, it says this includes um, drywall, mud compound, and sanding. And it literally in the definition says excludes joint tape. So the line item said
Of all the
taping.
things.
It says taping on the line item, but within the components, it says it excludes the tape.
Wait,
So
what?
yeah,
Instability has a line item that says drywall taping that excludes the tape?
sure.
Get out of here.
Well, this one here. Okay, here I'll show you here. Present. Share screen. We're going to do window.
Yeah, this is exactly right. Yeah. This is yeah, the insurance policy doesn't state this. Yeah. It doesn't
So
say you will use stability, you will use a certain pricing.
So
Yeah, I agree.
this is adjustment drywall taped level 4 finish walls. Adjustment for labor materials to apply an additional separate coat of joint compound over the whole joint. So this is for a level floor here, but the line item
Oh.
literally reads taped level 4 finish, but it doesn't include any additional tape. Now, granted, if you're doing a level 4, you probably aren't. I mean, strictly speaking, you're probably not needing the tape because you've already taped it. You're just doing a extra layer of mud on there.
Mhm.
But how much you want to bet if I go to level 1 or level 2, this word here is still taped as well? And I mean,
Mhm.
I haven't jumped in there since I started back up, but I mean, how easy would it be to miss that because you're reading this?
'Cause you're not reading it. Well, yeah. I mean, how many people actually read it? They just read the top and be done.
Yep. And it's just like with Xactimate, you have remove and replace, detach, reset, and then you have material and install. With Symbility, you have remove, or hang on, you have discard and remove. And discard is Xactimate's remove. Remove is there. I believe it's been a minute, guys. So if I'm wrong, don't hang me at the cross. But I'm pretty sure discard in a way it means remove. And if it says remove, that's actually the detached line item instead.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right, I'm trying to get my screen to all right.
Whoever asked that question, message me directly.
Do you charge you know, I wish I could do nothing but teach, right? But the reality is, there's just unless you're teaching really high end classes to 300 people at a time, there's not enough money in it.
Yeah.
There really isn't. Um, that's just a plain and simple fact. And there's always someone that'll teach you something. But in order to take the other part of it is, it's really hard to take what you and I know and distill it down and then put it in someone else's brain. I mean, how do you do that? 20 years of experience. How do you do that? And there's just so much stuff that we do that the best way to learn it is just to go do it, mess it
Well,
up a couple times and learn how to do it right.
it was like, I think it was in the ninja group yesterday or the day before, someone was asking, "Is there a line item for fire hydrant replacement?" And I could see where somebody might think that would be a valid line item, and then might, but to me, I was like, I told him, I was like, Dude, like that is not going to be on the homeowner because that's owned by the Department of Water. They had to shut
Mhm.
the whole street down to change that out there. Like Xactimate can't price that out. You won't find that in there."
No, you won't.
And it's stuff like that. They're like, it's most people wouldn't think, oh yeah, oh that would, once they hear, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. It's just like soft clogs, as
Mm.
opposed to sewer backup. Everyone thinks that the sewer backed up into the house because I
Mhm.
mean, realistically, the clog happened and the sewer backed up into the house. But because it was a clog doing it, that's fundamentally different. It's almost like
Yep.
lawyer speaking. And it's really hard for a lot of people to get used to that kind of that. I hate saying double talk or lawyer speak, but you've got to kind of have that mentality of it's not what you say, it's how you say it and the details of what and your choice of words that can really affect an overall
Mm.
project.
Mhm. Really
You know,
can.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, how many people do I see write files for bathrooms, and they just put in their half-inch drywall and 5/8 on the ceiling, and I'm like, there's water rock, there's mold resistant drywall. Are you not
Mhm.
going to put any of that in there? Oh, I didn't even know that line item existed. Yeah, it does. You
If
know,
you're an apartment or a condo, there's double layer. Yeah.
there's all these fun. I mean, to be good at Xactimate, you got to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
Mhm.
But to do
Mhm.
Symbility, you've got to almost be a master of all
Really?
because it is such an a la carte program that if
Right.
you are not fully competent in exact in construction builds,
Mm.
you will easily miss out on something.
Interesting. Interesting. Huh. I wanna mention I'm gonna run down the list of things that I mentioned in, today's In Circle thing. I think because I think it bears repeating. I just got a list of things that I wrote down, uh, messages to the industry at large. Number 1 was don't give adjusters authority over your business. I think we do that often as an industry, and asking for permission or asking for approval, that is giving, the adjuster authority over your business. Be willing to enforce contractual
Well,
obligations.
hang on. Let's back up to that comment.
Oh,
That
you
first
wanna back
comment
up?
there.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
okay.
talk about that one there, guys. 100%. Like play. I mean, I hate saying like this. Or play the game for your favor.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, oh, you got a hardwood floor and it's not category 3. I don't give a damn if I know for a fact that floor is ruined and needs to be tore up. You better believe I'm going to mat it and I'm going to call the adjuster and say, "Hey, Mr. Adjuster, I'm putting the mat down on the floor to try
Mhm.
and save this floor. I'll call you back in 72 hours on day 3. And if it's still reading high and I'm not seeing a lot of dropping and everything, we'll go ahead and demo it out. But if I'm seeing some dropping, I'll give it an extra day or two. And then if it's still not dry, then we'll go ahead and tear it out. If you want me to go ahead and tear it out now and not wait,
Just say so.
just say so and let me know, and I'll do that. But in the
Mm.
time for the time being, this is the course of action we're going to do.
Mm.
Done. And now I can charge for the mat system for 4 or 5 days, and then I can also charge for the demo of it because we took our, um, hey, Mister Adjuster, this homeowner this homeowner has had COVID and they've got small children running around and it's a sewer loss in the basement. We are going to put up containment upstairs as for our walkway, but we're going to be setting
Right.
up an air scrubber on the second floor as well, just to keep the upstairs under negative pressure. So that way we're not worried about any cross contamination. Just wanted done
Uh-oh. There it is.
and
There you are.
done, and now you've informed them of it ahead of time, and if they want to tell you that we're not going to do it, they should call. They've had a call. They can call me back and let me know. Don't do it. But otherwise,
Fair
I let you know
fair
what I'm
warning.
going to do. You know,
Fair warning.
and I feel like a lot of people go in and they're automatically like, oh, this has to be demoed out. Guys, if you're a water mitigation company, unless you absolutely positively have to demo it out, dry it out and leave it for the recon people. One,
Yeah.
you get the job done quicker, you get on to the next job. Two, you usually can get a little bit more days on drying because you're trying to structurally dry more components.
Mhm.
And three, when the demo guys get out there and demoed out, they're going to get overhead and profit added to their demo portion of the work, as opposed to your water techs who they're going to fight you on. It's
Yeah,
in your
fight you on
best
it.
interest. Hey, we're going to lift the carpet and extract the pad and extract the
Yeah.
carpet, and then we're going to lay it down and dry it. You can tear it out on recon.
Mitigators get paid to mitigate, not for demo. We don't make the most of money per hour by demolition. We make the most money per hour when the containment's up and the equipment is running.
And do not, guys, do not underappreciate the value there is in containment.
Oh, man.
I've
It's the
had
easiest
basements.
money there is next to extraction. I think extraction is the easiest money, but
The
then containment is the second easiest money.
I will say one on a side note here, real quick. I will say the amount of contractors I've seen recently who don't extract
Oh,
boggles my mind.
it's dumb.
I
It's stupid.
They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we just don't really need to invest in an extractor or a truck mount. Yeah, you do. Like that's money in the bank all day. But when
Yes,
it
you
comes to
do.
containment, guys, like I had a house where the grand foyer was 20 foot tall and it has a big staircase, and you go down the hallway, and here was the basement door. We took PVC pipe and we built a tunnel this way with two zippers on each side for the homeowner to pass through if they needed to. We put an extra flap here so when we came to that T, we could close it off and
Mm,
everything. And it took my guys like, I'm not gonna lie, it took us like 4 or 5 hours to build just this containment.
mhm.
Not a single pushback. If
Yep,
you're like, they will pay you guys a shit ton of money to manipulate contents, to block and pad the furniture,
yep,
to do all
yep,
this little shit, little rinky dink shit that none of us
yep,
really want to do because we want to get out of there. But that's where your money's at, not tearing out drywall and not and pulling up the carpet and busting your ass. If you
yep.
can dry it, leave it there to dry. And if they want you to pull it, have them call you up and say, hey, it's already been 3 days. That carpet is not drying. Can you guys go ahead and get it out? Sure thing. And now,
Mhm.
and then you got to continue drying. Like,
Then you do it again. Then you do
play
it
the
again.
game.
Play the game. Yeah, when I used to teach the 24-hour tech, the first thing I would do is have you seen me do that? I'd get a couple volunteers and hand one a roll of the 9 by 12 roll of painter's tape, and then one a roll of I'm sorry, a 9 by 12 roll of painter's plastic, and then a roll of tape, and then we time them and say, all right, go put that up, and we time them, we stop it, and then we know by this based on square footage what that containment or where that protection is worth, right? I don't know what it was, but it would work. I mean, it would take them 4 minutes, right, or less, and then you just do the math on that 4 minutes of labor, and they're making $1,000 an hour. And that little bit of containment is worth one DHU for one day. But you don't have to clean the plastic. You just take it down and throw it away. There's no warranty on the plastic. And I always say when you're extracting, I want you to imagine those little, if you've got a wand with a plexiglass on it so you can see the water go through, just imagine it's dollar bills getting sucked up into your truck
I mean,
because that's what extraction is.
one of the best bang for your buck return on investment line items in Xactimate right now for the water department is detaching the return or the register vent and covering it in plastic.
Mhm.
Takes like 30 seconds to do. Hell, I mean, you just cut a piece of plastic,
Yep.
shove the register vent back on there, you're done, and you make like $10 doing it. And nobody does it. Why? I don't know. Because water techs don't think like that. They think of
Yep. Yep.
everybody because a lot of people I do think that a lot of people look at it more of, well, if we don't demo, then the recon's going to be less. Just because I dry the floor out or just because I didn't demo the drywall out doesn't mean it doesn't still need to be cut out and replaced on the recon side. It just means that I didn't have to do it on the mitigation side.
Right?
Recon might still need to be able to justify going in there and going ahead and cutting that all out
Yep.
and replacing it. And
Yep.
then you get paid overhead and profit on your demo work.
Yep. Here's the excuse me. Here's somebody that was yes, you are late to the party. We did talk about that. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to make the updated user agreement. They're going to make a big deal about it. But the reality is, hey, we're both sides of this are in the game, right? They're playing their game. They got the carriers do have sway over Xactimate. If there's one lesson to be learned from this whole situation is the carriers still have sway over Xactimate. Fine. Okay. We will find a different way. If my business is going to go under because the Xactimate user agreement changed, I've got a problem with my business, right? This is not going to kill us. It's not gonna mess us up. All right, I'm gonna keep going down my list here. Be willing to enforce contractual obligations. What's that mean? What's that look like? It means late fees. It means liens. It means being able to charge for your project management and estimator time for all this revision time and all this negotiating time. Uh, put it in your contract and then be willing to enforce that. Uh, What? Oh,
Sorry, that's me on my
you're
phone.
restarting the video. Nice. Another one. Don't follow unwritten rules. So many times we get adjusters referring to industry standards, but they don't name the standard. And industry standard is not a standard. That's just words, right? Those are unwritten rules that we're being asked to follow. So don't follow unwritten rules. Force them to show you the written rule in writing. So okay, don't negotiate against yourself, right?
Yeah,
If
but like you said on that one there, you guys like the amount of people who are terrified of telling a homeowner part of doing business and signing a contract is that if I'm not paid, you get a mechanic's lien. That's just the
that's
way it is. And people
that's
are
business.
terrified. They're terrified. Oh my God, they're going to put a lien on. It's not a big deal. I mean, that's just how business works. But like the amount of people who let their lien rights go away, the amount of
Hmm.
people who do say, yes, there's a late fee on this here, but they've never once enforced it because they just use it as a scare tactic. Like,
Mm,
there's no need to scare tactic nothing. Like, do if your paperwork says, "Hey, I'm paid in 45 days fully," or it's 3% every month compounding, charge it. And if
charge
it
it.
and if it has to go to court, guess what? And you win the case, you're going to get all that money awarded to you. It's that
Yep.
simple. Like, there's no sense in letting go of it, just because, well, we're just trying to help encourage them to pay us. Like, no, like do what you're supposed to do. Cover your ass because otherwise you ain't going to get paid nothing. Just like I tell everybody, like if you're doing a preliminary estimate, even on a mitigation, change orders are your friends on mitigation. They're not just for reconstruction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. I'm going to add one that I didn't write down, but um, negotiation is a two-way street. If you're going to remove something from your bill, you're doing the adjuster a favor. Ask for something in return. If you're going to reduce your bill, say, hey, in return for me reducing my bill, I'd like you to pay me in the next 10 days. That's it's reasonable. It's fair. But one-sided, I'm going to reduce my bill because why? You said so and that's what you
Something
want?
just fell downstairs.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. No,
That's
he
not
was up
good.
here.
House is
Um,
falling apart.
yeah, it is. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
That's good.
But well, and also, I mean, when it comes to that, there, guys, this is why my big caveat that I tell everybody: estimate 100% for what you did.
Mhm.
If you are going to negotiate and take stuff and lower your bound, zero out the line item price or
Mhm.
add a credit line item to the estimate. But once that initial estimate is submitted and it says we HEPA vacuumed and we cleaned, and then we HEPA vacuumed the floor and we cleaned the floor, and the insurance says we're not paying for the HEPA vacuuming. When that final invoice should still have the HEPA vacuuming on it, and you
Yes.
either mark it as not paid or you mark it as a credit,
My
because in
favorite
five
note
years
is
down the road is
adjuster denied.
yeah,
That's my favorite note.
because 4 or 5 years down the road, when Miss Smith gets sick and she's like, "Oh, my doctor said it's because of mold, and the last people in my house was Bob's Restoration, and their estimate doesn't show that they HEPA vacuum, they're on the line. No, ma'am,
Mhm.
look, it's right here. We did bill it, adjuster denied, or we gave you a credit for that line item. We did do it and everything. It covers you from liability. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
amount of people who just go in there and are like, oh, you don't want to pay for this? Delete. That is not the way to do it.
One thing that I think a lot of people don't understand fully is your client's shitty policy is not your problem. It's not your fault that your client wanted to save a dollar on their premium and they got a policy that doesn't cover them, right? Your work is still worth the same amount no matter what, no matter if they have coverage for it or not, right? If you got a bid out for $200,000 and they only have $100,000 worth of coverage, does that mean your bid should go down $100,000? No. Your work is still worth what your work is worth. Uh, don't devalue it based on a shitty policy or someone being cheap.
Well, and it's just like code upgrade coverage, guys. Oh, well, they didn't have code upgrade. That doesn't mean that since they didn't have code upgrade, you don't have to do it anymore. You still have to do the code
Right.
upgrade stuff.
Lack of code upgrade coverage uh, uh, does not eliminate your requirement to follow the fucking building code.
And if that billing code means that it's an extra $20,000 in the file, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, guess what? You didn't buy code upgrade coverage. On top of the insurance claim and your deductible, you have to pay me $20,000 or I can't put this back together again.
Yep.
I'm not just
Yep.
going to do it and take a $20,000 loss because you didn't
Mm.
have code upgrade coverage. That's not my fault. Like,
No,
this is
sir.
what's required, And the worst thing that ever has happened to our industry was that little green motherfucker on TV saying, I'll save you $15 in 15 minutes or whatever it is, because these people do not know what they're buying. The amount of
No,
people who don't
no.
understand how much shit they have in their house and they are undervalued by 50, 60% on their contents coverage,
Mhm.
not my fault. Like
Yeah.
you got to get your shit out there. And if we don't got enough money, you get in there and you empty it out and I'll come back because it's not my fault.
What do we have? What, 15, 18% inflation this year? Something in there? Insurance policies haven't kept up, right? You might have had proper coverage 2 years ago, but if you didn't revisit your policy and your agent didn't come to you and revisit your policy, you probably underinsured right now.
Well, and the
Not
amount of
because the
people
value of your home went up, it's because the cost of everything
well,
went up.
but I mean, and that's also a big thing is like the house that I live in right now, 5, 6 years ago, this was a $120,000 home. Nowadays,
Mm.
if this house was going to be sold, it's going to sell for 225. The
Yep.
policy was written for a home valued at 120, and if we don't upgrade our policy and have it redone, that's not anyone's fault but my own for not
Yep.
paying attention. That's part of being
Yep.
a homeowner. That's part of
Uh,
your job to own a house.
it's called adulting. It's
Ooh,
hard.
ooh, I don't like that word. That requires you to wear pants and to actually like
And,
go out in
like,
public.
every day I have to wear pants now? Come on.
But it is. I feel like a lot of restoration contractors, we have big hearts.
We really do.
I mean, we do have a sense of apathy that does develop around us where it's like, oh, it's just sewage. Who cares? It's not a big deal. We get
Mm.
we get numb to that. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, though, we still do care about our clients and we want to try to help them out. That's why so many people have always marketed, oh, you don't have to pay us. We'll just do it for the insurance proceeds because
Mm.
most people don't have $500 and they just had to pay $1,200 to have the water heater replaced. They don't have an extra $500 to pay their deductible, and
Mm.
you don't want to lose the job, so you're like, I'll just do it for what the insurance pays.
I'll
But
just eat it. Ugh.
once again, part of owning a home, part of being a fully functioning adult, which I'm not that much of a functioning adult. My wife will even tell you that,
You are a
is
you are
that
a high functioning child.
I am a high. Would you call Andrew said I'm a high functioning child? Would you agree? She said no comment.
I will paint myself with that brush as well.
But it is. It's one of those situations where like don't be afraid to walk away from the job because they don't have the coverage. Like either
Mhm.
that's not your fault. I mean, shit happens, and you can't be. You're not in the business. You're in the business to make money, not take money. But you're
Mm,
not in a. You're not running a damn charity.
no, no, you can't. And the expectation shouldn't be that uh, the restorer has to make up for everyone else's faults, right? That's just not fair. Your agent messed up. You messed up when you didn't get the right policy in place, and your adjuster messed up when he didn't cover your loss or partially denied your loss. None of that is really in the control of the restorer,
But
and
what
we get
happens?
blamed.
Yeah, what happens is more often than not is they're like, well, let's make sure all the recon people get paid in full so the house gets put back together again, and we'll stiff the people that were out there first in the middle of the night shoveling
Yep,
your shit out of the house.
yep,
We'll stiff them so that way and everything. And it's like, no, like you couldn't do any of that until I did what I did.
I
Like
agree,
I should
100%.
be paid first. End of story. That's
Yeah.
like trying to pay McDonald's and then telling the meat providers, you get paid later.
Oh man. Oh, I saw a story completely unrelated, but you said meat. There's a group of ranchers that got themselves together and raised enough money to put together their own meat processing plant because they were just getting killed by the conglomerates that control the processing of meat in this country, and they said, "Fuck that. We're going to do it ourselves." So good on them. And if they can do it, well, that shows the rest of us that it's possible. I like it.
What
You want to give people the bad news about how we're not going to do this every week now?
So, because Andy is a busy, busy man, and because he has children that are getting older, and they want to see their father more often, and probably to save his marriage, I'm guessing, just a little bit. We're going to be switching this to a bi-weekly or bi-weekly, so 2 times a month time,
Yep,
and there might, and I don't know, we might end up making it a once a month type thing. Just and honestly, it's not because we don't love doing this, because I mean, me and Andrew both love doing this,
I
but
do. I
it
really do.
it's also very disheartening that we do this so often, and we get people in the chat room that wants to comment here and there and stuff, but we never get really anybody in here to give us anything else to talk about, and it's really really hard for us both to come up with things to talk about every week without just making you all fall asleep.
Well
So
said, Joe. Well said.
now if you
Uh,
guys want to start joining in and coming to us with your problems saying, hey Andy J,
yeah.
why don't you guys tell me how I should handle this situation, we might be able to bump it back up again. But for the time being, I think we need we're going to step back and try to have some more free time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get real here, and a little bit selfish. If I was able to go to my wife and say, you know what, I've been doing this a long time, but you know what? Every week I get somebody saying, "Hey, what's this human powered estimates all about?" If I got clients out of it every week, it'd be a different story. If Joe got clients out of it every week, we'll do it every freaking week. But, time is money, and we got to do the best we can with what we have, and so yeah, we're going to back off. We're going to back off for now, right?
I think
Prove me wrong.
get through the summer, because obviously I'm going to have my kids and I'm going to
Yeah.
enjoy my summer. When it's
Yeah.
cold outside and I don't feel like moving a whole lot because I got my winter coat on and my
Please
winter
come back
lard
in.
built up, we might come back in a little bit more often.
Now I'm gonna brag a little bit. My son, who went into national snowboarding USASA, ranked 10th in slope style. That's him, and he's doing rail jam there. But that's my boy. That's why I do what I do every single day. Well, that's one of my boys. The other one's not there, but these pictures came through today from his event yesterday. I'm just like, yes, freaking little stud is what he is. So anyway, all right, done bragging. All right, so we did that. What do you mean, Adam? It's all our fault. Yes, it is your fault, Adam. Yes.
Let's talk about
No,
what's going on next week.
RIA. So RIA
What's the
next week.
RIA?
We're doing we're having a Rebel event at the Rodeo Bar, which is up the street. I think it's 10 blocks up the street from the RIA conference. We're going to do that on Monday night. I'm going to start about 7. The opening ceremonies at RIA stop about 7:30, but I figure people are going to get out of there before that. So I'm going to be there at 7. We're going to go to whenever, and it's just going to be low key. Let's just get together, you folks, you rebels that are there. Um, let's just go break bread. Let's go have a beer. I will let whoever shows up buy me a beer. I'll do that. I'll make that sacrifice for people. It's going to be good, and I think our RIA. I think we're setting another record for attendance at the conference again this year. Last year we set was a record year for attendance. This year, I think we're going to blow that out of the water. But more importantly than that, I think we're setting membership records. We're
Unfortunately for everybody that would like to see my beautiful, shining, girlish figure face going on, I'm not going to be there due to the me and RIB separating. Funds are a little bit tight. And unless somebody wants to sponsor me, I will be there in spirit. And Andy can zoom me in, and you can all
That's
say
right.
hi to me. But I'm not going to. I'm
That's right.
right as of right now. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, Joe, I'm gonna go look under my couch for some quarters. We'll see if we can get you down there.
All right.
You could hitchhike there. It'd only take you 3 days.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'll find me a trucker pick me up. I went. Let's go. But But no, I mean, guys, like if you're not part of the guys, we've talked about all the time, but just like the Rebel group on Facebook here, RIA is an invaluable investment in you and a company. It's a
Yep,
great tool for networking. If you
I
have
agree.
ever thought about wanting to get involved in some of these catastrophes that happen all around the country, RIA is the best place to go. You'll meet so many people from all over the country that you can build relationships with and be like, hey, I've never done a hurricane. When the hurricane comes through, call me up. Let me come down and we'll help you. We'll, make a handshake deal that we, and for my labor and stuff. And let me learn how you guys handle this stuff here so I can do it later.
Yeah, it's anytime you can meet face to face with fellow restorers, yeah, in a welcoming environment, take advantage of that. Make it happen. It is a cost. You got to get there. It's not free to show up, but done right, done intentionally, you are going to reap benefits 10x of what you spend to get yourself there.
And if you do
Um,
go to the RIA, make sure you bring an extra suitcase for all the free shit you get. I think last year, what Andy, me and you both left
and
with
all the
like
freaking hats.
15 hats. I have like 8 or 9 beer koozies now. I got hand sanitizer and I got my fancy little Xactimate mouse pad for free. I
There you
mean,
go.
I mean, like I was my suitcase was like I was like my fat ass was sitting on it and I still couldn't get all the way close at and all.
So yeah, so we're not going to meet next week, obviously. The week after that, I will bring my hats to the round table, and we'll compare. I'm going to see how you're wearing Actionable's hat right now. I'm going to see how this year's hat compares.
Hey,
We'll do that challenge.
I just want to hear the actionable wins the award this year for the tool because they're on the board with their profile.
Wait, are they up for best tool?
Yep,
Are they up against like
in circle.
in circle? Ooh, that's going
It's
to be a tight race. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think Encircle will win just because the overall marketplace that they do control. But I think if you actually look at the value comparison between the two products, the
Hmm.
actionable profile guys is a
It's huge.
vastly much better investment for your time than anything else. The actionable profile will help you become an estimator of a level 2, possibly close to level
Yep.
3 capacity without
Yep.
sending you to class.
Without going to class, I agree, 100%. That's well put. That's well put. Well, on that note, let's sign off, man. Joe, good luck to you, man. You are gonna do great. This is, um, it's just a bump in the road, man. You
Oh yeah.
went, you had the experience. Now you're back. You're doing your own thing. I've stepped away from I stepped away from my consultancy claims delegates 3 times. But push comes to shove. I'm happier working for myself. I'm a shitty employee anyway, so you, you're going to be great.
So, all
Joe,
right.
good to see you, man. Have a
Yep.
great week.
Everybody have a good evening. Bye.
See you.